After too long of a wait, we're finally back. I had to bring out the best that we had. I had to bring Deonta because God knows what else he would be doing right now. Iestyn's back from hiding. Wayne Diesel's always going to bring it. I don't even know. I'm just so amped up right now. Somebody talk about a division in the NFC and let's just go.
Well, because I've been on hiatus from my podcast as it is. And we talking about football and I'm back. And the Calling How I See It show will be back, next week. But anyway, we ain't talking about that. But I would be remiss if I didn't start my football talk off like this. The Saints ain't going to do a goddamn thing this year. They ain't going to be nothing. I've been trying to tell y'all that these Saints is frauds, lipstick on a pig. Drew Brees ain't there no more. I like J5, famous Jameis, all that good stuff. But this is not going to – I don't want to see no power ranking with the Saints in the top 10. I like Alvin Kamara. I like Jameis. Their defense is cool. But no, they are not going to be nowhere near playoff contention, even with the extra spot. They ain't going nowhere. They're going to be down right there at the bottom where they belong. So, Saints, enjoy in aptitude for the rest of your days. Now that we got that out of the way, y'all go ahead.
Okay, then. See, I might have had a slightly different take. I might have said, hey, maybe once he gets Michael Thomas back, shameless Jameis Winston might have had something. He's
Michael Thomas ain't coming back.
You don't think
he ain't
so?
coming back.
I think he comes. I think he comes back after week 6. He shuts up until about week 12. And we get about 6 weeks of primetime Michael Thomas catching every slant out of the backfield and just ruining defenses. And then by week 12, he causes problems within the organization again. Because he's Michael Thomas. But I think that we can fully expect him to be doing some really, really great things this season if he gets healthy. Because Jameis Winston is still a highly qualified NFL passer. I would not say he's a consistent NFL passer, but I mean, this is the man who's like top 5 in yardage every season as a starter, pretty much, except maybe his rookie season. I mean, yeah, admittedly he threw a lot of interceptions, but hey, man, he got that LASIK. He's got that laser eye surgery now.
Yeah, you can finally see.
He can finally see. Maybe he can distinguish who's a wide receiver and who's a defensive back now. I got some faith that he can make it happen, but I don't think the Saints are going to be competing for the division, but I think they still have the potential to be a playoff team here if they can put it together. It's just about surviving.
The Saints won't be a wild card team. The Saints are missing the playoffs, and I don't think Michael Thomas is coming back because I saw something very interesting when he came back last year. Because I watch, and for full disclosure, I did something I thought I'd never do. I had Michael Thomas number 1 on my fantasy team last year. Number 1. That was my number 1 overall pick. I had like the 7th, 8th pick, something like it. But he was my first round pick. And when he came back, I saw something. I saw him playing, but it looked like he was getting written out the playbook. And that's when I started saying, well, wait a minute. You got Michael Thomas? You're not used. I'm just talking about out of the play. And that's when all of a sudden he didn't want to play again. And so I don't blame him for not playing because he's getting written out in the book. And that's when I started saying, oh, Michael Thomas ain't going to be there next year. He's not going to be there. Where? I don't know. But and Drew Brees getting ready to go too. Why would Michael Thomas want to play with Taysom Hill, who I'm not even, is more of a football player than a quarterback, and, Jameis. So I think Michael Thomas he's going to be somewhere else. I just really believe that.
Go ahead. No, I was about to say, I kind of agree because, the Saints, this is the first year post Drew Brees. I didn't really feel like they were all that with Drew Brees. So you take, a top 10 quarterback of all time away, they're just going to plummet. I feel like they're going to be at best a 500 team. I mean, they do have some good pieces, like you said, Michael Thomas, whenever he comes back or if he comes back. Alvin Kamara, I know they got Marshawn Lattimore on defense, but outside of that, I don't really see them doing all that much.
And they got holes. They've got holes and things that are wrong with them. They're far from a Super Bowl contender, but this is still
far from the Super Bowl. Say it again.
Far from it. I agree with it. I respect it, but I think that it's
say it. Far from Super Bowl contender.
They have too much individual talent at skill positions to be counted out at any given time. Kamara is still one of the best running backs in this league and an absolute threat coming out of the backfield as a pass catcher. Michael Thomas, if If he plays, I will concede that he might not. If he plays, then he's still a great wide receiver. He can do incredible things with the ball in his hand and a little bit of momentum. Jameis Winston still has high. He's a high ceiling, very low floor type of quarterback. He could blow the doors off and be throwing 4 or 5 touchdowns. He could simultaneously be throwing 4 or 5 interceptions. You don't know who you're going to get, but we're not ready to find out.
I got a question for the classroom real quick.
He could have run into the door.
How come Jameis Winston gets a pass for, throwing 30 interceptions and can't see, but somebody like Cam will do something like that and he the worst person ever? Can somebody make that make sense for me real quick?
I
Both
think it's
suck.
just you take the good with the bad, I think. And Cam wasn't offering as much good anymore. He wasn't that bad either. He just wasn't. Like, Jameis Winston is a man of extremes. He brought you those incredible, unforgettable games, 400 plus yards, 5 plus touchdowns. And then at the same time, he'd bring you those bad games where he threw the game away single-handedly. And sometimes that would be in the same game, But Cam Newton, last season especially, it wasn't so much that he was playing poorly, is that he wasn't playing well. He didn't do the great things or the bad things. He was just a quarterback. He was there. He threw the ball, but he didn't get it. He struggled in the red zone. He couldn't throw into tight windows. His mechanics were off. Winston was still making incredible plays while he was making bad plays. Cam Newton didn't have that same ceiling last year. And I respect him. I think he's he was one of the most dynamic quarterbacks we'd seen just a few short years ago. But he's had quite the drop off since then. And Jameis Winston has had the benefit of not playing in that time since he stepped out of a starting role. So he's sort of given himself the benefit of the doubt by sitting behind a great quarterback. People think, man, maybe he learned some things. Maybe that time out helped him. Cam Newton didn't have that. He continued to stay at the forefront. Everybody was on him, and when they were looking at him, he wasn't doing it.
Okay, you got me. Okay.
I think that Cam is still probably one of the, I think he's probably a top 32 quarterback in this league. I'm not saying he should be a backup. But he's but I think that if he chose to do a Mitch Trubisky, he could make a comeback. He could sign for less than he's worth for a backup role, take some time, work on his game, and maybe come back next year and hit the market and be something. But that's a decision he needs to make right now. Otherwise, he's running out of options.
I personally think with this division, the Bucks are going to run away with it. They're going to probably win by week 14. Rest their starters for the last 3 weeks of this.
Run away. They might power walk, but I don't know about run away.
I mean, we all kind of came to a consensus that the Saints really aren't going to be. Well, me and you and I did. The Saints aren't going to be all that good. The Falcons aren't going to be good. And I'm sorry, Wayne, but the Panthers are going to be, below average. So and the Saints, and the Bucks have a really.
We got to see about Carolina. We got to see. I
think they're in for a solid 9-8 season, which is a very weird sentence to say because I'm not used to 17 games in a regular season. But they're a solid 9-8 team right now.
6-10.
6-10. Okay, but would you put? Hang on. Let's say the Falcons are bottom. Can we all agree the Falcons are the worst? 7-10. Yeah. Can we agree the Falcons are the worst in the NFC South?
No. Yeah. That would be the Saints.
I would put the Falcons at the bottom, Saints in second or third, depending on how good the Panthers are. But the Panthers are also a big question mark, right? They've got Sam Darnold coming in, who apparently looked good in camp, but I haven't seen any of that myself, so I can't confirm. They've got CMC coming back. That's a huge boon that they didn't have last year. They've still got plenty of talent. They got Robbie Anderson out there. He was impressive last year. There's a lot of potential for this Panthers
It's
team.
really the defense is what I'm excited about because we got Dante Jackson. Then we signed AJ Bouye. People forget about that.
I love Bouye.
Yeah, and then we got Shaq's okay, but Jeremy Chin, who was in Chase, who was in Running with Your Boy Chase Young. So I like the defense. I'm more excited about the defense than the offense.
Oh yeah,
the
offense. Yeah, the offense just needs to be pretty good or possible, and this defense could get them into a playoff spot in a second. But the Saints is still the team to be, I think, for that second spot. Everything's different for the Saints. Everything's different for the Panthers, but they're both teams that need. We need to see them all on the field before I make my decision between the two.
How about the NFC North? Who's going to win that one?
Yeah,
It's easy. The Vikings suck because they have, plexiglass unvaccinated Kirk Cousins, who's a damn fool. Chicago, they have a pretty young quarterback. They still have a pretty solid defense, but I feel like Nagy's going to be out probably around week 9 because he's on thin ice. Who else is in the division? Oh, the Lions. The Lions are terrible. They don't have a kicker. They shouldn't even be in this conversation. And the Packers, they still have Aaron Rodgers, who is he's like Jesus up in Wisconsin. Besides cheese, so the Packers.
Yeah, Packers are clearly the runaway favorites here. I agree. The Vikings are kind of a mess right now. Their defense has problems. It's still pretty good, but they have a lot of problems that they've been declining in the past year or two from that legendary Vikings defense we've had for a lot of the 2010s. Deontay's right. This Lions team may legitimately be the worst Lions team we've ever seen, and the Lions were the first team to go 0-16. The Lions, who have, when was the last time they won a playoff game? What was it?
I don't
think it was like in the 50s or something.
It's been a long time. They've been bad for a long time, and this year
I think the Jackson 5 was auditioning for Motown. I think that's the last time they won.
Yeah, that you might actually be right. That could be genuinely correct.
91.
That's a terrifying thought. Yeah, 91. It's been 30 years since they last won a playoff game, and if that's not the absolute longest streak in the NFL, then it's damn close. The Bears, I think, they finally have potential, but that potential is not ready yet because Andy Dalton's QB1 they announced a while ago, and they haven't said anything that'll change that. Everyone likes what they saw in preseason from Justin Fields. Everybody. And if you don't like what you saw in preseason from him, then you're just jealous. I'm sorry. But he's entertaining, he's dynamic, and he's got a little bit of attitude and a little bit of swagger that, makes him a little fun to watch.
I actually think Justin Fields is the best QB in this draft. I thought out of all the QB, I thought he was the best one.
Yeah, he's such a two-way talent in the modern sense. And it's fascinating to watch, but simultaneously you don't know what you're going to get, and we have no real perception of whether or not he's going to be good against a run-of-the-mill, top 20 starting NFL caliber defense.
We can say that about. Because I'm not quite sure about Trevor Lawrence, to be honest. I get it, but I'm like always sure.
Yeah, well, NFL teams still seem to like drafting like this is the late 90s, early 2000s. They can get a statuesque pocket passer who's going to thrive in pass protection and just launch the ball 15, 20 yards every time. And that's not what quarterbacks do nowadays. Even the quarterbacks who do fit that that outdated prototype don't just do that anymore. They're mobile. The defensive talent coming up in colleges nowadays is much more fearsome. The offensive line talent isn't that much better than it used to be. Yeah. And so every quarterback at every level in college is under pressure, and these guys have had to learn to move or die. And teams don't know what to do with that anymore. Your two options are either draft a guy who moves and adapt his game to the NFL, or try and act like it's the 90s, early 2000s and build a pocket passer. But pocket passes aren't the same as they used to be. And by relying purely on a player's arm, you sort of put a cap on his ability. Sometimes you need to be able to get out of the pocket and make a play, and that's what Fields brings, and that's what Trey Lance can bring too. We haven't seen it from Lawrence and Wilson, and they're those top 2 picks right there. They're admittedly the best looking passes coming out of college, but there's more to being a quarterback than just throwing the ball now. And
everybody can't be Tom Brady or Drew Brees.
Exactly. The game's changed and these guys need to change with it. And that's why I like Justin Fields, because he does do that. But once again, he reminds me a bit of, to bring it close to home, he reminds me a bit of Josh Allen. He's young, he's got a lot to learn. And I think after a year or two, he could be great, but he needs time. And sitting behind Andy Dalton might be best for him, which would put the Bears barely above the Lions this season in my book. So I've got Packers, then Vikes in second because they've got enough talent to put together a playoff appearance, but not enough talent to do any more than that. And they can't do it from behind plexiglass. You're right.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'd probably go Packers first. I'd probably go Chicago second, just simply because I feel like at some point Justin Fields is going to. I feel like at some point the Bears season's going to kind of be lost, and the Bears are just going to be like, okay, the future of our franchise is right there. We might as well get him some type of reps and just play him. And I feel like he's good enough to actually play. So I feel like Chicago's going to come in second. Then I would go Minnesota, and then I would go the Lions. Guaranteed the Lions are going to have the first overall pick next year, without question.
Yeah, well, they sold the farm to get to take on Jared Goff. The Rams sold the farm to the Lions to get rid of Goff in that contract, and they got a real Super Bowl contending team now. They put Stafford in the mix, but the Lions are the ones who took the brunt of that, and they knew they were in for some punishment. They brought in a head coach who understands that this is going to be there's going to be a year or two of hurt before they have the potential to be good again. And if they can give that coach the time, then they could be good in a couple of years' time with all this draft capital they're building up. But that's still a long way off, and this isn't there yet.
I think the Packers win 12 games.
That's fair. That's a perfectly reasonable prediction. I mean, they got a hell of a lot of talent.
13-4.
I think the Packers. I think whatever the number is, I think they'll get a first round bye, but then I think they'll be out. Like the Packers do this every year, and I always call the Packers like frauds. They seem to beat up on like weak teams or whatever throughout the playoff season. Then the playoffs come and they on up out the way. It's just hard for me to just get behind Aaron Rodgers. And I mean, I know it's top 5. I know that, but it's just the Packers. I just don't see them really doing anything in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, what happened against the Bucs is kind of indicative of the kind of struggles that they're going to have,
Well, I'll say this about Green Bay. They kind of have that, even though they haven't had anywhere near the amount of Super Bowl success as the Patriots have had. But the reason you always see them in the playoffs is because you're in a division with the Lions and the Bears and the Vikings. Like you're almost guaranteed to be like it's been times where Aaron Rodgers pretty much missed a lot of the season, and then I remember he came. What was that, 2014 or something? Came back in like the last 3 weeks and got in the playoffs.
Yeah, you penciled in for at least like 5 wins in that division, at least 5.
Yeah. So
those ones are free.
Yeah. So
yeah,
easily.
Fair enough. That's a valid point. That is a good point.
You want to talk about the West or the East next?
Oh, I'd like to go West. I want to go West.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Cardinals are pretty good, right? Everyone agree? They're pretty good.
Top 10 team.
Well, the Seahawks, though, Russell Wilson, perennial halfway through the season MVP contender. You got the 49ers. Jimmy G's coming back. They got a young QB in Trey Lance. One of them's going to play, and it's going to be whoever's playing better. They have enough talent on defense and consistent enough offense to move this ball and get things going. But the Rams are winning this conference. Well, we're winning this division, potentially even this conference. I have so much faith in them. The only thing that they're going to be missing is Cam Akers. And if they had Cam Akers, I would say that these guys are potential conference contenders trying to go for a Super Bowl again, because this team is unbelievable. You know what the problem was with that Rams team of a couple of years ago that lost in the Super Bowl to the Patriots was that they didn't have consistent quarterback play from a veteran presence who knew how to establish and improve and elevate an offense, and they just got that in Matt Stafford. I don't care if they don't draft in the first round until 2035, because if they win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years, it's going to be worth it. And this team is going to be incredible.
So let me start off by saying this. A lot of people won't agree, but I don't care. I've been on this for the last 3 years. The Seattle Seahawks are so overrated. I don't get it. Outside of Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf, that team is mid. They're so mid.
Can't believe you just used that word on my podcast, man. Wayne, please talk.
They're mid. Seattle's pretty mid.
Wayne, just say anything.
Oh my God.
Here's the thing about it. He ain't wrong. He's not.
He's not. He has a point.
That's the thing, because outside of hold that thought real quick.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll go on with my point. The reason I say once again that they're mid is Russell Wilson keeps them afloat. And obviously, in order for DK Metcalf to be who DK Metcalf is, he needs Russell Wilson. So outside of them, and I guess Tyler Lockett's pretty okay. I mean, he's good. He's a probably a top 20 wide receiver, maybe. I don't have the list.
I'd say it's a stretch, but he is good. He's a great wide receiver. He is. He's got a lot of talent. Yeah.
So like I said, outside of Russell, they don't really do anything for me.
Yeah, exactly. Pete Carroll didn't build this Legion of Boom defense again. He built it once, and now it's fallen apart, and he hasn't fixed it. Russell Wilson was good enough to become an offense when he had this support from the defense. They give him the ball often enough to get to the end zone enough times to win some games. But without that support on the other side of the ball, Wilson needs an offense that can dominate, and he doesn't have that without the consistent offensive line, without a reasonable run game like he had with Marshall and Lynch. I mean, everybody remembers the Beastquake. He doesn't have that same level of support.
And who was the Beastquake on? Say it, Iestyn. You know who it was.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. I won't give you the satisfaction.
Say it.
I won't do it.
I'll give you a hint. The team that is far from Super Bowl contention.
Yeah.
Panthers.
Piss off, Deontay. You know good damn well that wasn't the answer. You know that wasn't the answer.
Jacksonville Jaguars, final answer.
Against the New Orleans Saints.
Okay, but here's the thing, is that this team is not that team. This Saints team is not that Saints team. They might be better. And this Seattle team is not that Seattle team. That Seattle team was nice. This Seattle team is barely afloat in a division that's getting tougher and tougher every year.
Here's the thing about Seattle that I don't think a lot of people talk about. And if they do talk about it, then I just missed it. So, and this is why Deontay's right. Because everybody knows Legion of Boom. And I hang out with I talk to a couple of coaches here and there around the way, and they kind of opened my eyes to something. So when Pete Carroll got there with New Orleans, with Seattle, he knew he was there pretty early, and Seattle was not a good team. And so when he was drafting, he knew what to draft because he had been recruiting these players since he was like, they was like 15, 14, 13, however long. So if they wasn't going to, SC, he knew where they was. So when he went to Seattle, he knew who to get. He knew how to build that team. So he knew how to get the Cam Chancellors, the Bobby Wagners. He knew about people like that. He knew where to get them. And as time went on, we saw those draft picks, starting to go less and less because he started disconnecting from the college game. It went from Pete Carroll doing the scouting to, scouts doing the scouting. And so without that Legion of Boom, what do you have? You got Russell Wilson doing magic. And Russell Wilson, I think before it's all said and done, he's going to be top 5 all time QB. I think so. But just because you got a magic man for a QB don't mean you're a great team. That's not what that means. And then even without the Legion of Boom, it was about the run game. Just said Marshawn, beast mode, beastquake. That's what it was. And then when you decide to give it to Russell, that's when Seattle just kind of, seemed like to regress to the normal pack. And we know about the Malcolm Butler interception. And really, Seattle ain't been the same since. So you got Russell doing these plays, and that's cool. And you wonder how he does it, but that don't make you a good team because you can't just miracle your way to a Super Bowl. Now you can get good wins. You might even get to a divisional round, but that's not going to get you all the way there.
Yeah, and Pete Carroll hasn't demonstrated any ability to build a new team outside of that first successful one. I mean, he watched that defense fall apart and was unable to fix it or maintain it. He didn't, he can't draw. He got lucky on an early 3rd round pick to get a franchise quarterback in Russell Wilson. But outside of that, how many great draft picks has he really made? He's been inconsistent at best and downright detrimental to the success of his team at worst.
And then let's be for real about it. And I think a part of Seattle, that early drafting, and if that 49ers team didn't fall apart, we may have been talking about the Legion of Boom.
Yeah, but they might never have really existed as we know them. Those guys wouldn't have signed extensions to stay
the
on that
49ers, team. People forget, but with Harbaugh and Kaepernick and all them and Vernon Davis, they was busting heads open.
They were in a Super Bowl. Like
Yes.
remember the Blackout Bowl? Everybody
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were a damn
that's New Orleans for you. But I ain't gonna do it. But yeah, so you right, Deontay. They just they cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they were, I'm sorry, but if they were a sexual position, they'd be missionary.
Jesus Christ. I think the Rams run away. Well, not run away with the division, but they win it by at least 2 games. I think Arizona comes in second, and I don't know. I like Cliff Kingsbury a lot. There's
Don't sleep on San Fran.
We don't know if they're gonna be healthy. Hey, I want to ask y'all this though, just about Arizona. Y'all think AJ Green washed up, or y'all think he gonna be able to do anything in Arizona?
He's done. I think he's a non-factor. He's one of those guys who's sort of aging out. He's been playing less and less games, and when he's on the field, he's not the AJ Green of legend. I think that the best thing for him to do might have been to just hang it up when he was in his last year at the Bengals.
He ain't the AJ Green of what?
Of old.
Of legend.
How's that?
It was cool. I mean, I'm not knocking it. Because
AJ Green used to be, like
you're right.
Fantasy draft pick wide receiver. He reminds me a bit of Calvin Johnson in only one way, which is that he never really had that great of a quarterback throwing to him.
Oh, okay. I thought you was okay.
No, I'm not. Don't worry. Calvin Johnson is on another level.
All right, I'm about to say what?
Yeah.
Luckily, though, for Arizona, they have a DeAndre Hopkins whose hands are bigger than Deonta's head.
Yeah, Hopkins is.
How do you just call me?
Hopkins makes that team a lot scarier as a passing offense. I think that I would be a lot less afraid of them if it wasn't for Hopkins being out there. And I have a personal stake in being afraid of Hopkins now. After the second half of that wild card game in Houston 2 years ago, and then the Hail Murray, I think he's done enough damage to my psyche personally that I could just not think about him for a while if that would be nice.
Yeah. It was like size like Deontay's head. It's Kyler Murray throwing him the ball.
He's looking like Kawhi Leonard out there. It's crazy.
Yeah. Imagine having like hands bigger than somebody with like an enormous ass head.
Okay, we get it, man. Jesus Christ. Good Lord.
Speaking of Deontay, I guess we have to talk about the NFC East for some reason.
What?
You're a Jets fan. What have you done in your life? Hell.
Well, okay, if we're talking about the NFC East, then I gotta ask one question: are the Cowboys finally legit, or are we gonna get to be disappointed yet again?
I'm not
disappointed because I ain't got no damn faith in them. Look, I know they look good on Hard Knocks, and here's what they look. Micah Parsons looked good. Zeke looked great in Hard Knocks. Dak looked good for all the 15 minutes. But here's the thing: they playing each other, and really, all the East is good at beating up each other. So the Cowboys, on paper, they look great, but nah.
Yeah, I'd watch any NFC East divisional game against one another. And it's Cowboys, Giants, Eagles, Washington Giants, Cowboys, Eagles, always a good game.
They're great.
Watch them play. Yeah, watch them play any other team. Yeah, it's not the same. I do kind of love Washington. I'm not gonna lie. I think that
there we go.
Okay, the Giants are better than they were last year. The Eagles are better than they were last year.
No, they're not.
Not by much.
No,
they're a little bit better. The Cowboys are definitely going to be better than they were last year. But Washington's been like the most consistent, and which is hard to say about Washington in recent years. But they're on the up and up. I fully respect them. I think that they're still. It's what I said at the end of last season is Washington are a franchise QB away from being a contender.
And they're the QB on the market, baby.
I still think they're a franchise QB away.
Robert Griffin III. No, not.
I don't know. RG3 and this Washington team might be like he could win them the division. But that wouldn't be RG3's fault. I think I love this Washington roster. They're going to be entertaining, and I'm going to enjoy them every time I watch them.
I got the Giants winning the division actually.
Oh, that's a controversial take, I think.
Yeah, seriously.
Is it though? Because I'm looking at the weapons they got.
Yes.
The Giants are like the third best team in New York, behind.
They still have Daniel Jones.
Dude, Bishop Gorman's better than the Giants.
like, come on now.
Y'all don't got the Giants. Well, I get you, Deonta. I understand your position, but y'all don't got the Giants winning the division for real?
No.
I think that Daniel Jones is going to have the best year of his career, and he's still not going to be the starter next year.
With them adding that, with John Ross, Evan Ingram, Kyle Rudolph, Saquon coming back.
John Ross isn't going to do anything. Rudolph.
John Ross was great in preseason as a rookie, and then he never did anything else ever again. Okay, Evan Ingram is like legitimate, but inconsistent. Kyle Rudolph should have retired 3 years ago. Saquon Barkley is probably one of the best running backs we've seen coming out of the draft in 10 years almost. But he was also the second overall pick to the wrong team who needed a quarterback and took a running back. And but if Barkley had fallen 3 more picks, he might have been like he might have been a consensus number on fantasy running back for like every year of the past few years. But he doesn't have the support, and they're doomed. Their offense is unlucky, and that defense just doesn't have what it takes to keep up with most other NFL teams right now.
I mean,
they're gonna get burned.
I got the Giants because I look at how they finished the season last year. They finished out pretty tough. You know, I mean, they hung in there. They wasn't just getting beat to sleep every play or game.
And yet they still spent the last week of the season crying because the Eagles gave up when they were eliminated from playoff contention already.
Yeah,
like that. The Giants were so close to being a mediocre team, and being a mediocre team would have won them the division. Instead, here we are with the Cowboys having a pretty good quarterback in Dak Prescott coming back. I like Dak Prescott. I'm just worried about his health.
On a pig.
I can respect that. I don't really like Zeke that much.
Washed.
Yeah, this Cowboys team is they're gonna be better than we all want them to be, and they're probably gonna win this division. But the Giants, I don't have any faith in. The Eagles are just scrambling. I mean, come on, they've shed talent and then brought talent back in and drafted guys, and they don't have a clear plan. It's just a mess. Washington seems to be Washington and Dallas are the only 2 organized teams left in this division, and Washington has overall the better roster than the Cowboys outside of the quarterback position, but that quarterback position makes all the difference.
Well, there's a quarterback out there, and he's a former MVP in this league, and maybe he can reunite with his old coach.
I don't.
Drew Brees did just retire. You are right.
I think
he never won MVP. So
didn't he?
Gone. Nope.
He was a contender like 8 times though.
Yeah, almost like Russell Wilson. Whatever.
Yeah, you don't get participation. I know Russell Wilson's never received an MVP vote though.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, admittedly, it feels bad to dunk on Russell Wilson. The dude has it bad enough.
If Dak plays every game, the Cowboys win the division. Washington won't win the division because they have the 3rd best quarterback in that division.
Oh, he's the best. Fitzpatrick's the best Jets quarterback in the last 30 years. Shut your mouth.
Yeah, that doesn't say much, though. As we're talking about the NFC East here, and that doesn't mean they're going to
win. You're forgetting about Mark Sanchez.
Yeah, the legend.
He did get him to an AFC championship for whatever it's worth.
2 in a row.
He did, didn't he?
For whatever it's worth.
It counts somewhere. Like that was no one could say that Jets team weren't the greatest overachievers of the past 15, 20 years. Oof.
Well, welcome back. Hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll be back next week.
Cheers, guys.
Joe, no. Cheers, man. Cheers.